New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Welcome to I Know You Didn't Ask. I'm your host, Megan O'Donnell, and let's just jump right into what's going on, everybody, because if you're like me, you are at home and you are not at BravoCon, and the FOMO is real. And I didn't think I would really feel this way, but I feel like past BravoCons, I've had stuff to do during that weekend, so it didn't really hit me as hard. Whereas this weekend, I had nothing on the schedule, nothing on Friday, nothing on Saturday, and nothing on Sunday to do. So I have been knee deep in BravoCon content from the Peacock panels, social media influencers, radio show episodes in SiriusXM, and all of my, hard, diligent work that I've been doing this past weekend will be brought together in a mega BravoCon episode that I put out on Friday. So I'm going to be listening to all of the Bravo Celebrity podcasts, the usual kind of Bravo podcasters, episodes about the week, and just we'll be digging through social media, digging through Reddit, the deep trenches of Reddit. And I will be putting this episode out on Friday. So make sure you subscribe to I Know You Didn't Ask so that you can absolutely get that episode just sent to you directly. You don't even have to think about it. I'm also going to take this time up front to make a little bit of a PSA to the girls and gays out there who drink from a water bottle, a reusable water bottle. Amazing for the environment, but this is a reminder to clean those bottles. I'm not proud to say I'm not cleaning my water bottle as much as I probably should. I think some people say they do it every day. That's asking a lot, and it's been a minute since I had done that, and I cleaned it out the other day with a paper towel just out of boredom, and what I saw on that napkin, the residue that was inside my water bottle, it was absolutely shocking and alarming. So take this as a PSA, don't judge yourself if you've actually never even ever washed your water bottle. You know what? Take some time and wash those water bottles because couldn't even get into, like, Googling what it is. Is it black mold? I don't know, but there's definitely something going on in my insides due to what I've been drinking for the last few weeks, and just consistently for years on end. So, again, I'm not proud, but I'm acknowledging it, and then I think now I can move forward, with a clean water bottle. And one more quick little thing, I always make editorial amendments here on this show. Sometimes I get things wrong, sometimes this is a fake news podcast, and I did report on incorrect information about Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party this past weekend. I said the food god Jonathan Cheban wasn't there. He was in fact there, and again, you guys know me. I'm here for hard-hitting news stories and the facts. So when I find that I'm reporting on something incorrect, I always take a slice of humble pie and apologize where necessary. So let's just jump right into the show. We all know Bad Bunny is performing at this year's Super Bowl halftime show. Many Americans were very upset. They said, "Who is this man who is not speaking English? You're going to perform at a American tradition, the Super Bowl." They said, "Not on my turf." And supposedly there is even a change.org petition, which currently, as of Sunday, November 16th, has 111,453 strangers on the internet who have all banded together in this change.org petition to petition for not only Bad Bunny to be taken off the lineup, which, like, again, not happening. They want to replace Bad Bunny with George Strait. And if you're like me, you're pretty involved in what's going on in the world. I don't like country music, but I know some of the big names in the genre. And George Strait isn't one of them. He is a 73-year-old country singer. And again, I've never even heard of his most popular song. I will be playing the most popular song of his on Spotify right under this recording, and you've probably also never heard of it either. The song is called "Foolhardy Memory," and to be honest, the song is kind of great, but I don't feel like it's gonna really get the people going like Bad Bunny will at the Super Bowl. And you know what? You don't have to be a Latino person to respect and enjoy the music of Bad Bunny. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, and I love his music, and I'm shaking my hips. They're passionate white girl shaking her hips. Like, I don't wanna say I have, like, no rhythm, but I feel like I can shake the ass, especially to Bad Bunny. And, he's like in his early 30s. He's a Puerto Rican American, very, proudly so. And there had been some drama around him playing at the Super Bowl because he actually said he doesn't want to tour in America because he's scared that ICE will be at his concerts looking to, snatch up immigrants in this country. And I mean, there's so much that we can go into that. We're not going to dig into that too much, but all of the talking heads have been saying, well, ICE is going to be targeting the Super Bowl as well, which I thought was hilarious considering the Super Bowl is the most expensive game in the football season, with tickets ranging from about $3,000 for like the worst seats you can find. And, the best seats on the ground level of the field, those tickets can go anywhere from $14,000 to $23,000 for a single seat. So I just wanna know, what illegal immigrants in this country who, are literally just trying to survive, they're not even trying to seek out the American dream. That's not even an option for them right now. They're simply trying to exist. How are they gonna scrape together tens of thousands of dollars for the family of 5 to go to the Super Bowl? I feel like ICE can take the night off, that they don't need to target the Super Bowl, because I feel like their target demographic isn't really going to be, spending money at the Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. Complete and utter nonsense. And what I found really interesting was that in all of this pushback to having Bad Bunny perform, people forget that the Latino community actually reflects a ton of the fans who are watching NFL games. And I found it interesting that the Dallas Cowboys executive VP, Charlotte Jones, who's the daughter of the owner, Jerry Jones, went on this chick's podcast and was basically completely standing up for their decision to hire Bad Bunny. And she said, our Latina fan base is amazing. And I think when you're talking about the Super Bowl, you want the number one performer in the world to be there. We're on a global stage. We can't ever forget that. Our game goes out to everybody around the world, and to get the premier entertainer to want to be a part of our game, I think it's amazing. And I think that we can have a mixed culture. I mean, our whole society is based on immigrants and that have come and founded our country. And I think we can celebrate that. And I think the show's going to be amazing. And it's interesting because 45% of Hispanics are avid fans of the NFL, while 26% are casual fans. So I know everybody's shaking in their boots. They're saying, we wish George Strait could play, please. Like, all the whites are just waiting for Taylor Swift to perform. Like, that's all they care about. Taylor Swift and George Strait. That is what we have as Americans to be proud of. But Bad Bunny is fucking amazing. I am like a very big fan of how he looks and his swagger. He's hilarious on SNL. He was even a pretty major role in the latest Happy Gilmore movie with Adam Sandler that was on Netflix that came out this summer. He's very much the talk of the town in terms of music. And I mean, he's just got an energy about him that I'm telling you, you can't not shake your ass, even if you don't know what the fuck he's saying. The words don't matter to me. It's, how the music makes me feel. Okay. And I will say Charlotte Jones has been, slowly but surely becoming a feminist icon. She ended up granting the ladies on the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show that came out, the second season came out, I think earlier this summer. And the whole plot of that second season was all the ladies demanding that they pay them more because they at the time were being paid the same amount of money as somebody who works full time at, a Chipotle, which again, like, should be a livable wage, but, these girls are busting their ass, and you see the strenuous practice and also the money-making opportunities that these girls have, opened up for the Dallas Cowboys, so it's ridiculous that they're not being paid livable wages. And so she was really, a part of the campaign and approving the ladies getting additional compensation, which good for you, like, go off, young cheerleaders. I'm very proud that they said, "You know what? We're gonna have to stand up for ourselves because we're the best of the best, and if you guys treat us like that, then you have to compensate us like that." Preach. And these poor cheerleaders aren't even making a morsel of what the NFL players who are playing right next to them are making, for every game. So, you know what? They earned that money. If anybody had seen the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader show, you see them do, like, the drop split, and there's obviously, like, a professional name for it, but I don't know it, but you see that done once and you think, "Wow, that's gonna have some impact," but then you see it done, like, 8 times in a practice, it's, like, shocking. Their bodies go through trauma on the daily. Oh my god. No, thank you. So what am I watching, people? I mean, of course, I'm always glued to the tube. So this is a bit of a PSA to everybody out there. If you haven't watched Unknown Caller on Netflix, go and watch it because I have a great episode coming out next week where we talk about it at nauseum. We really go into the entire story. I'm giving no details. I'm being incredibly vague because I think it's up to you to go and watch it. So definitely be sure to check The Unknown Caller out on Netflix. But Christmas has come early, people. I know I've been saying Thanksgiving erasure, but actually, you know what? This can fall into being thankful too. Because I'm incredibly thankful for the executives at HBO Max who knew what they were doing when they signed on for all 7 seasons of Mad Men to be coming to HBO Max for streaming. I'm sorry in advance because Mad Men is one of the best shows. The show aired in 2007 and went again, as I mentioned, for 7 seasons. And it was the first scripted show that was ever on AMC, and it was a massive hit. It was actually created by Matthew Weiner, who had written on The Sopranos, which ended just about a month before Mad Men actually started. One amazing show ended and a new one starts. And it's all about the 1960s New York advertising scene. It shows you all of the behind the scene politics of working in advertising in general. During that time, they were doing a lot of advertising for the big tobacco companies. It showed women working their way up the ranks from becoming secretaries to, being full-time creatives and bosses and owners of the company. It's just a fabulous show. And the writing is obviously incredibly provocative and gripping, and it kinda goes through, all of the characters in their various stages of life, some in depression, some, falling victim to lust and greed and drinking aggressively and, womanizing. It's just incredibly beautiful storytelling, and I mean, Jon Hamm and John Slattery, the 2 Johns on that show are just both so handsome and charismatic, and, there's nothing wrong with a little eye candy, and this was Jon Hamm's first show that he ever did, and he was kind of like a Clark Kent type, like, so freaking handsome and incredibly talented and a no name. I thought that casting choice was just perfection. So Mad Men will be available December 1st on HBO Max, and count me in. The news of this show coming onto HBO has infinitely made my choice to stay in and be a recluse this December just completely worth it. Thank you for validating my experience. So Selling Sunset season 9. Guys, I'm still not at the reunion. I'm going through it at a snail's pace, but I'm trying. As of right now, I'm team Chelsea in the Chelsea and Mary debacle. I mean, Mary gets Chelsea in trouble for wearing a provocative outfit when they are all literally 1 inch away from having their labia exposed. Like, that's a little ridiculous and hypocritical. And then Mary obviously has a traumatic experience where she was robbed. Obviously, that shakes up your entire world and your sense of safety, but I thought Chelsea was being very thoughtful when she sent the flowers to Mary while, she was going through this hard time, and I guess because it came during the filming, which, I mean, is it a coincidence that Chelsea just sent those that day that she happened to be filming, or was she just sending it out of the goodness of her heart? I feel like some of Mary's anger towards Chelsea is a little unwarranted, but I think we'll get there. I'm hoping we probably get something more at the reunion. I have a feeling we do. Again, give me time. I can't run through this as fast as I would like people. I'm so sorry. But I will say I'm so glad Emma didn't say yes to marrying that weird guy. I'm glad there was a part of her that realized, that's not gonna work. And Chrishell gave her some tough love, and I think, she definitely wasn't holding back her feelings on him. I do feel like I heard through the grapevine that Emma and Chrishell are no longer besties post reunion. So again, stay tuned. Watch this space. I'll talk about it next week as well. But I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like Chrishell is, like, moving on and, like, is in a great place with her, self-worth and her relationship and, her path forward, possibly moving to Australia and, having a child or children with G-Flip. Like, I feel like Chrishell's on a great path, whereas Emma is, like, still dating these idiot fuckboys who are, 10 years younger than her and, like, are MAGA adjacent. Like, I feel like Rochelle's like, "I'm good." I feel like this is giving Ariana and Sheena's friendship. Ariana at a certain point was like, "And that's a wrap. Like, what are we doing? Like, this show friendship is no longer fun." And Michelle's not coming back for the next season of Selling Sunset, so she's like, "I don't even need to pretend to be your friend for work, like, we're done so." And I mean, I feel like Ariana kinda did the same to Sheena. She was like, "And I'm off Vanderpump Rules, and I'm never gonna join the Valley, so we're done. Like, that's a wrap on our friendship as well as my time on the show. Bye." And I mean, last but not least, you guys, The Righteous Gemstones on HBO. I talked about it last week, and I'm gonna keep talking about it. But again, little log line. It's a show about a family who owns a very successful mega church down in South Carolina, North Carolina, one of them. And it's honestly giving me the same type of humor as It's Always Sunny. Of course, in a completely different situation. They own like a shitty bar in Philadelphia, whereas these people own this very exploitative, fancy mega church. But it's the same exact kind of like crude, fucked up behavior, characters who are so unlovable. The 3 children who the show mainly focuses on, they are worse than the next. There's 2 brothers, Danny McBride and Adam Devine, but I have to say, the sister character who's played by a woman named Edie Patterson, I guess she was in Californication as well, but the sister's performance is absolutely gut-wrenching. Whoever is specifically writing for this character is deeply troubled. The jokes and shit this woman says was making me dry heave laughing, and I was gonna say, I love to laugh. I do. I really love laughing, but it's kind of rare where you're like guffawing on the couch. And I don't know, she was making me scream and pee my pants on Friday night when we were watching it together. Matt was asleep, and I was like, I can't contain my joyous, raucous laughter. Oh my God. And she kind of reminds me exactly of Sweet D from It's Always Sunny. You usually don't see women on television portrayed as, like, crass and, like, spoiled and, like, terribly, entitled and, like, abusive to her partner, but you don't really see that a lot, and this show gives it to you straight. Oh my god, 10 out of 10 performance. I feel like she needs to be nominated for something. I think I need to write a strongly worded letter to the Foreign Press Association to let them know that she needs to absolutely be celebrated this award season. Speaking of people who are being celebrated, again, the queen of the segue, Ghislaine Maxwell. We all know her. She is currently in the midst of a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking. Good times. She was Jeffrey Epstein's main bitch. Ghislaine's been in prison for a minute now, and back in August, we talked about on this show that she had been moved to the federal prison Camp Byron in Texas, which is oftentimes called Club Fed. Get it? Like Club Med, because it's like a kind of cushy federal prison. You know, Jen Shaw, Elizabeth Holmes, Ghislaine Maxwell, again, my Powerpuff Girls, they are all, able to kind of have a little bit less restrictions on their behavior. And as we all know, Ghislaine Maxwell is absolutely manipulating the American government from prison. We all know she knows where the bodies are buried, and she's absolutely taking this leverage she has over Trump and turning it into a nice little stay in prison. I should mention up front, she shouldn't even be in this prison. So, this prison generally doesn't allow convicted sex offenders to stay there. But again, she's like, I've got leverage over Trump and I'm going to use this in any possible way, shape, or form. And so there's been some whistleblowers, which I love a whistleblower from prison. That's like so cool. I would absolutely be selling stories if I was in prison with a somewhat famous sex offender. So while Ghislaine's been in this new prison, she's been receiving insane preferential treatment. And there was the whistleblower who said a top official at the prison said he's, quote, sick of having to be Maxwell's bitch. And it seems like she's kind of, again, making the most of her time in prison. She has been having meals customized and prepared by federal prison camp staff, and the food itself is actually being personally delivered to her in her cell so she could dine by herself. So that seems pretty nice. It sounds like she kind of has a home chef. She's also able to hang out in the recreational areas after hours, and she's actually also able to work out by herself. So again, this is sounding kind of cushy. Again, Ghislaine is used to just like creeping on little girls in high school playgrounds, which is literally not a joke. But, she's finding a way to stay busy in prison. She is obviously allowed to have some guests come, but her guests are actually put into a specialized area where they have assortments of snacks and refreshments, which again is something that the other prisoners are not having as an option, which is disgusting and rude. And her guests are also actually able to bring in computers, and that kind of allows her to possibly have some unauthorized communications with people in the outside world. And we all know that people in prison are able to easily kind of have access to various different types of email. I don't think social media, but they're able to communicate with people, which speaking of, tune into the unknown caller episode next week because there's some creepy shit coming out of emails from a prisoner. Whew! I was thinking I should start writing to Ghislaine. I feel like that would be crazy. I'm doing it for the pod. People say like do it for the plot. No, I'm doing it for the pod. I'm gonna start email correspondence with Ghislaine and just see what we can muster up. Like maybe I'll produce a podcast with her from prison. I feel like people would be interested in that. But what else does she have access to? She also has preferential treatment when it comes to the bathrooms, and she is she is given as much toilet paper as she needs, and all she has to do is ask for that, which is really kind. But the biggest problem that people are having with the type of preferential treatment that Ghislaine is receiving in prison is the fact that she has a puppy. She has access to a puppy, and I guess they're getting incredibly close where now the dog doesn't even bark. The dog knows that Ghislaine is possibly its forever home. Every bitch needs a dog, and Ghislaine has been able to, I guess, spend some periods of time with a dog that I guess one of the other inmates was training. I guess they were a dog trainer in their normal profession, and I guess the police force said, "All right, let's get you to start training some of these police dogs." She knows where all the bodies are buried. Trump is saying, if this girl wants a fucking dog, get her a dog. If she wants a quinoa bowl brought to her prison cell, give it to her. Because one incriminating conversation that Ghislaine has with the media can properly take Trump down. And I mean, let's just say it from the rooftops, people. Let's release the Epstein files. Just a little reminder to people that generally innocent people don't put in this much effort to, withhold files that would prove their innocence. Like, are we kidding? Like, if they had nothing to show in any of those files, then it shouldn't be an issue to release them. So many emails are coming out. I think I'm going to be doing a full Jeffrey Epstein saga. Again, I need time. I need time to work, people. I have so many good ideas coming up. I have friends giving me new ideas. So, again, I got a job in December that's going to give me a few more months of working on this fucking show. So, things are looking up, people. They're kind of looking up for Ghislaine Maxwell, and they're looking up for me as well. And I also have to say, one of the things about Ghislaine Maxwell that is just another mystery, and I think adds to the allure of her persona, is just simply her name. Ghislaine Maxwell is a string of letters and syllables and sounds that I've never heard of. It makes the illusion of her even more mystifying. Who is this Ghislaine? Just the name Ghislaine Maxwell tells me that this woman is going to have a very interesting story. And again, Freaky Friday with Ghislaine is gonna have to come out soon. I just gotta get through each deep dive one at a time, and then I can really pivot on my focus. Again, unknown caller documentary, big research project on the horizon, and then I get into Hilaria Baldwin, which is looking like it's going to be about a three-parter. It's probably gonna be a three-part series, take us through the holidays, and then I'm gonna go into a little mini Freaky Friday for George Santos. You guys, my favorite snack to eat when I have the munchies are Doritos. I do not keep them in the house, along with Oreos. Doritos and Oreos are no go zone. I cannot be trusted. I cannot be contained. And this might be controversial, but I find that Cool Ranch Doritos are completely overhyped and disgusting. To eat a Cool Ranch Dorito right after you've had a couple of, triangles of nacho cheese Doritos, the contrast between the two flavor profiles just is so stark. And Cool Ranch is just falling flat these days. And To me, a nacho cheese Dorito is absolutely what a Dorito is at its core. It's cheesy. It's supposed to be cheesy and crunchy. And I feel like with that Cool Ranch flavor, it's just a little too tart. It tastes tart and synthetic, and I don't know, nail me to the cross like Jesus Christ, because this is what I'm standing up for in this world. But we just got news that December 1st, again, you guys, December 1st, the day that Mad Men is back on HBO Max, will also be the day that Cheetos and Doritos will be coming out with these simply naked versions of the popular treats that have no artificial flavors or dyes, which means no bright orange color. I do wonder, will there still be some kind of residual dust on my fingers after I eat the simply naked versions? And it's NKD, Nick. So I'm thinking it's saying naked. Like, these are naked, these are a healthier option for your Doritos and your Cheetos. RFK and all of his Maha influencers jumping for joy, and you know what? I guess it's a step in the right direction, but I'm gonna slam this a little bit because the problem is with this PepsiCo announcement is that they're not removing the artificial flavoring or dyes across all of their products. They're adding a second version of the Doritos and the Cheetos that we have all come to know and love. So now they've actually just doubled their market share on more shit that they can sell people. And the funny thing is that the health risks of artificial dyes and flavors actually pale in comparison to the health risks in the salts, the sugar, and the fats in these processed foods. So, yeah, maybe it's really good that we removed this dye, yellow, red, whatever shit fucking dyes these people are putting in this shit. Yes, maybe they're a smidgen healthier, but what you're eating in general is not a healthy item. So regardless of those dyes on your snacks, it's still not gonna be healthy for you. And to be honest with you, like anything else in this life, Doritos and Cheetos and the godforsaken Oreos that I mentioned earlier up front, even talking about them is making me feel a little hot and making me feel like I need to go and grab a bag, toke up, eat some Doritos, and call it a night. But I'm not going to. So the Naked Collection will have 4 flavors: Doritos Simply Naked Nacho Cheese, Doritos Simply Naked Cool Ranch, again, not in the market for that, Cheetos Simply Naked Puffs, and Cheetos Simply Naked Flamin' Hots. So I do think I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna definitely try the Simply Naked Nacho Cheese because what I do on this show is I review things. So in the next few weeks, I will be coming out with a Simply Naked Nacho Cheese Dorito review. Again, watch this space. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on incredible content like that. And you guys, I've been talking about having a mayo war episode where I talk about mayo, which you guys, huge development. I tried AO mayo and I hate it. Again, you're gonna have to wait for the Mayo Wars episode, but I realized I might have actually missed the time frame of a proper Mayo Wars episode because for me, I find mayo at its truest form to be a condiment on a BLT. And as we all know, we're not exactly in tomato season anymore. And so much of the BLT is the tea. I'm going to have to hold on my Mayo Wars episode until next summer because I'm also going to have a video component where I'm trying a BLT with different mayos and then, obviously comparing and contrasting. I was able to get my hands on some AO mayo that was on sale at Whole Foods. I got them for like $4 a bottle, which like is a kind of a steal, unfortunately, for this fucking condiment, which is like retailing at $10. And I understand why they're on sale. You're gonna have to wait for the episode. I'm so sorry. But anyway, speaking of more food, we're kind of ending today's episode talking about corporate slop bowls. And as a former corporate girly, I fell victim to buying slop bowls day in and day out. There is a new trend online that has been talking about these corporate slop bowls. And I don't know how many times I'll say slop bowls in this episode, but I'm loving just the phrase. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's picture like a Chipotle, a Cava, a Sweetgreen. Every place has their own shtick. Are we going healthy? Are we going, Mexican? Are we going Mediterranean? What are we doing, slop bowls? But it's just a mixture of flavors, sauces, dips, hummus, vegetables, salads, beans. It just looks like fucking slop. It looks like shit when you're eating it. It does taste good, I will admit. And as I mentioned, I'm a former corporate girly, falling victim to the slop bowl for people are looking for like a fresher, kind of healthier option during their lunch breaks. And unfortunately, American slop is now in big trouble. They're actually calling them slop stocks because the stock for Sweetgreen, Kava, and Chipotle are all really low. So good time to buy, ladies and gentlemen. They're saying basically that these slop bowls have been not selling at all, and the foot traffic at all these types of places are going so low because of obviously all of the various things going on, the fucking tariffs, this and that. Of course, people working from home has just automatically decreased the amount of people going to these kind of fast casual chains for lunches. And I mean, I have been having an issue with Sweetgreen for about 18 months now. I used to be ride or die. I mean, the Sweetgreen on 19th Street near Union Square in Manhattan, I've probably spent a cumulative 24 hours in that Sweetgreen waiting online during lunch breaks for one job that I had. That was also right at the beginning of Sweetgreen taking over, and I was in the office 5 days a week, so I was probably hitting an SG 3 times a week. So I got very comfortable with the Harvest Bowl, the Kale Caesar, the umami shrumami, whatever the fuck it's called. I mean, I was a huge fan of the elote corn bowl. That was the first time I ever even heard of the phrase elote corn. So Sweetgreen has brought a lot to my life, but unfortunately now I don't want to pay 20 fucking dollars for a salad. I went again, probably 18 months ago. It's been a rough 18 months kind of going through this breakup with the salad chain. They have one in downtown Montclair, and they've actually been expanding to more suburban areas because these chains are noticing that people in the cities aren't actually going to their locations as much because of, as I mentioned, people are not going into the office as much, and also spending habits are just ultimately changing. And I gotta say, now you go into a Chipotle or a Sweetgreen, and I feel like I'm intruding on the people who are working there. I understand that there's, like, digital orders, online orders, pickup orders, but I fucking walked into this location. Can you treat me with a modicum of respect and look at me and help me, place an order? And Sweetgreen, it's not fucking rocket science. I'm also not a prissy person. I say I'll have the Harvest Bowl as is. I never am removing things. If I don't like something, I just eat around it. I hate the tomatoes at Sweetgreen. I have to just eat around them. Prices are also getting so high at some of these fucking places. I was looking at an article on Business Insider, which like Business Insider has taken the phrase slop bowls to another level. I thought I was obsessed with saying slop bowls. You gotta read Business Insider. Quote, America's favorite slop bowl chains are in trouble. We tasted them to figure out why. So they went to 3 different slop bowl places, Chipotle, Sweetgreen, and Cava. They said at Sweetgreen it cost $29.01 for a salad, a slice of focaccia, and a drink. 30 fucking dollars for a salad? It's hard enough getting me to eat fucking salads, and now you're telling me I have to spend 30 fucking dollars? Hard no. If people are going to be spending that, they'd rather either put that money towards groceries at this point or like get something that can actually be delicious. Like $29 for a salad, a side of focaccia, and a drink? I'd rather go to a local ramen shop and, like, eat a yummy bowl of soup. I don't know, I just have been loving this slander on slop bowls because as I was leaving the corporate world, I was packing my lunch, I was getting very good at it, I was finding my stride, I was losing lbs. You lose lbs when you cook your own food, people, and, I mean, it really highlights how much money people are spending every day between getting a little pastry and a coffee in the morning, plus your slop bowl lunch. You can literally spend $50 a day without even knowing it. And so I did kind of like seeing that some of these companies are doing a little poorly as they raise their prices and the value of our dollar goes down. It's like no surprise that people aren't going to want to spend their money on this nonsense. And also, you know what? I've been knee deep in the fucking New York Times. If you can't tell, I'm Christiane Amanpour in this bitch because I am talking straight news today. The celebrity news is few and far between in this year episode because we're talking about coffee prices going up 20%, babes. Because you know what? Again, these motherfucking tariffs are really going to be screwing up some of our little joys in life. I used to love going to a coffee shop and getting an almond croissant and some type of chai latte, maybe dirty, maybe just not dirty. And don't get 2 shots in your chai latte. Learn from my mistakes and do not get 2 shots of espresso in your chai latte because it will absolutely overpower the flavor of the chai and you're just going to be pissed off. Again, I made this mistake a few weeks ago and I've not been able to forgive myself. But I used to be able to get my little croissant, my little chai, and then, it'd be under $10. Now I'm looking at a crisp 14. What happened? I can't leave the house without spending either $250 or $0. Like, I have no in between in this world. And whatever. I just have to, again, express to people, start cooking, start learning how to cook, take matters into your own hands. Don't let the fucking media make home cooks disintegrate because the messaging is telling you that you don't have time to cook, but you really do. And again, I don't have kids and I don't do this and I don't do this. Yeah, I know. But like the culture of home cooking has just been completely dismantled by places like this kind of encouraging people to, buy 5 slop bowls for your family for dinner. It's only $100. Like, that is fucking offensive, people. You know, cooking is amazing and nourish your body, and you begin to learn more about the health benefits of cooking. I actually remembered that in my senior year in some business class I took, I made this like project all about opening a fast casual salad restaurant in Istanbul because I guess I randomly did research about like finding a random metropolitan city that doesn't have access to like healthy food options at all times, and I guess Istanbul came up and I came up with a salad chain that I would be opening up there. And you know what, if this podcast goes to shit, I'm just going to open up a salad restaurant in Istanbul. So thank you so much for tuning into I Know You Didn't Ask. Be sure to subscribe to the show to make sure episodes are just automatically downloaded to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to episodes. And of course, as you know, I'm on video on Spotify as well as YouTube, and I'm cute as fuck. So please compliment how I look, talk about my jewelry, ask me like where I got my sweater and stuff, and check out those videos there. But in the meantime, subscribe to the show so that you can hear all the updates on what the fuck happened at BravoCon. I will be doing all of the research and sleuthing for you so you do not have to waste your beautiful, precious time. And if you're interested in Anna Delvey, the international scam artist who swindled New York's elite, go back and listen to my 2-part deep dive. If you know nothing about her, go back and listen because it's just a fucking romp and a half, if you ask me. And if you haven't, caught up with my Love is Blind season 9 reunion recap, as well as the Salt Lake City mid-season trailer recap that came out last week, then go back and listen, people. I'm sorry. What are you doing with your time? You have an hour to give into some of this incredible work that I'm producing week after week. I mean, there is so much more to come. Thank you so much for listening to I Know You Didn't Ask. I had a good ass time on this episode. I don't know what it is about these topics, but slop bowls and Mad Men, Bad Bunny, George Strait. You know what? This episode really got me going. And for that, I am just so excited. The passion's alive here, and I know you didn't ask. And I so appreciate all of you guys staying along for the journey. Have a great rest of your week. Bye. New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube.